Hey, it's Dougie from Valto, and in this video I'm going to give you the art of the possible when it comes to Power Apps by showing you top 8 Power Apps examples. All of the examples I'm going to show in this video, Valto have previously deployed to our clients, so if you would like a fixed price proposal for deploying these Power Apps to your own environment, then you can email us at hello@valto.co.uk. So let's jump in and take a look. So the first Power App that I'm going to talk about is a Cost Estimator. Now, this can be actually used on all devices, but I'm going to be showing it to you via a mobile phone portrait layout, because I imagine this is being used by people out in the field that are going out to jobs to give estimations. Now, this is a cost estimator it's simulated as a flooring company, so they're going out and giving estimates for flooring, but it could be estimates for any type of job, and you'll see as we go through you could customize these fields to give any type of estimations. You could also use it to automate the kind of estimation process, so starting off with actually having these jobs on the phone for your whoever it is, salespeople going out giving estimates to potential customers. So they start off their day by seeing this list of jobs, and don't get too worried about these dates. This is just dummy data. But let's just say going out, and I've done my first job of the day, and now I'm going to the second job. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to David's house. Once I've arrived at his house, I'll click on Begin Estimate, and I'm going to be talking to the customer, and he's going to say, okay, well, I want to get some vinyl fitted to my kitchen. So it's okay, kitchen is the room name, and how big is it? So in feet, so maybe we say it's 8 foot, 5 by say 5 foot. So quite a small kitchen actually. Actually, let's make this a bit bigger. So let's just say maybe it's 10 feet by 15 feet. So there we go. So roughly about 160 square feet of space. So then we'll say select flooring style. So he wants to go with vinyl. And then we've got a range of different vinyls in stock, so we can see just some pictures. So this is where you could then show the customer. You could say, hey, take a look at these ones that we've got in stock currently. So he might say, actually, I quite like the look of this Eagle Rock. So I'm going to select on that. And then we say, great. So we could also take some photos. Because I'm sort of demoing this on my computer, my camera won't be set up. But if this was on your mobile phone, you might take some pictures. So maybe there's just some weird angles of the kitchen that need to be taken into consideration, or maybe there's some strange access to the kitchen. Maybe it's an upside down house, so the kitchen's actually upstairs and you have to go through some weird flight of stairs, or maybe it's an apartment, or whatever it is. You might want to take some pictures of that, which is going to help out the people who are actually going to come and do the job. So we can take photos with that. We can then click on Review Estimate, which is then going to show us who the estimate is for, the cost of it, any adjustments. So maybe you're going to say to him, you could give him a 10% discount or something like that. What the tax would it would be on that. You could also put a little squiggle in here as a signature as well, and then click on Submit Estimate. And what that will then do is you could automatically then send out a email with potentially that estimate attached as a PDF. So they've got that. You could also extend this out further using Power Automate. So if you wanted to include something like Adobe Sign or DocuSign, or even just like an approval button in Power Automate, you could actually get them to sign digitally online as well. So that's our first example, and you can see that could be used for all sorts of different scenarios. So let's jump into the second. The next example is a store inventory. Again, this could be used for all sorts of different things. Essentially, in this example, it is a bike shop, which is stocking mountain bikes, things, inner tubes, helmets, things like that, and they're keeping track of the stock that they have inside their shop. They could have pictures inside of here just to see what the actual items look like if they're struggling to find it. Other ways you could expand out on this further is potentially there's certain areas of the shop or the warehouse where you're storing this, which you might want to actually tag against the item to say actually this item is stored in a particular location. When you go into it, again, you could have put more details in here if you wanted to. I've seen these types of systems be expanded out further to show when the last orders were in and things like that, just so you get an idea of how quickly you're going through your inventory. So if, say, for example, I could say here that I've got 40 of these combo sets in stock, ideal stock would be 261 based on what I've seen sold in the past before. But if, say, for example, I could see my previous order history here, and if I could see that I usually, say, through the winter months, don't order many of these, but now we're getting into summer, for example, it might be that we're pumping out loads more of these. So actually, I've ordered a load recently, but actually maybe I should be doubling the amount of orders that I'm doing to restock this particular item so that I don't have to keep ordering over and over again, waste my time. Or maybe I could even get a cheaper deal from my supplier if I found that I was actually ordering a lot more. So anyway, I could click on this restock button. And again, what this could do is it could potentially send an email. So I've actually worked on systems in the past before where it was actually a uniform clothing ordering system that we worked on for one of our customers, Chester Zoo, and they wanted it to be allowing their employees to order uniforms in a very similar kind of way. Okay, it wasn't kind of showing the stock of what was in stock, but they could go and say, I want a new pair of boots. And what that would do is it would actually then send an email to the suppliers who made those boots to say, we want to order this boot in this size. And then they would then send an email back to confirm the date that they would be ready. So again, you can see this type of system can be expanded out for all sorts of different uses. You can see now that we've stocked this up, we can actually see that the levels have gone back up. You might want to expand this out further to actually have almost like a checking in system. So checking the stock actually arrived and then adding it to it rather than automatically just adding it. You could also view it in a couple of different ways, or maybe even filter it by things like low stock. So we can see here we've got really low stock here of the basic inner tubes. So we might go into here and say, yeah, we're going to order 36 of those to then restock us back up to having plenty of those inner tubes back in stock. So that is our second example. The next example is a suggestion box. Now, the suggestion box could be used for all sorts of different things of submitting ideas, but it could also be used potentially as almost like a whistleblowing form or something which is like giving constructive feedback about how something can be changed. It could be made anonymous if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be submitted. You could also have an approval-based process in place where once an idea is submitted, it goes to somebody to review to make sure it's a sensible idea before it's submitted to everybody else. And I've even seen this type of thing expanded before to allow for voting as well, so that someone could submit an idea, goes into a pot, a pool of ideas, and then people can then submit votes against and say, I think this is a really good idea, and almost put their kind of voice or weight behind that idea that maybe they didn't have, but their colleague had, and they thought, that's a great idea. Management should really take notice of this. So to submit an idea, big button over on the right-hand side, we can then put in whatever our idea is. So maybe it is maybe a free lunch. The short description would be a monthly team lunch. Idea short description might be once a month we should all go out for lunch as a team to bond, or whatever it is. Then we would say submit idea, and a pop-up message says your idea has been submitted with success and will be reviewed by an admin. So that's then submitted my idea, takes me back to the home page. Again, that's going to be reviewed by some kind of admin. Maybe that could actually go to like a head of department or something like that, related to the area of the person that submitted it. It might want to be completely anonymous. It might want to have your name against it. You can completely configure that. I mean, this is the best thing about Power Apps, right? You can completely configure all of these types of things to your specific requirements. But that's a short and sweet one. A suggestion box is a great thing you can do. You could also embed this directly into your intranet or Microsoft Teams if you wanted to make it nice and easy for people to get to the suggestion box from an area that they're already using on a daily basis. The next example is one of my favorites because I use this all the time myself. It's the My Expenses Power App. So the My Expenses app, obviously this is just a dummy version of it, allows you to submit expense reports based, say, on a period of time, like a month. It might be say, okay, this is December's expenses, and then you can put individual items against that, like train tickets or dinners or hotels or whatever it is you can put against it. You can then see them, these reports, by ones which are open, ones which are pending approval, ones which have been approved, and then all on here as well. We can create a new one by clicking this plus button across the top, and then we could set a period. So we could say, okay, this is going to be, let's just go back a step and say this is going to be my November expenses, because usually submitting it at the end of the month or just after. And then our report title might be, say, November expenses, approver. So you probably wouldn't put your own approver in there, to be honest. This again is this is just a dummy, but an extension of this is it might be that it automatically looks up whoever your approver would be based on your department, for example, or whoever is your line manager that's set inside of Active Directory. Same goes for things like Cost Center as well. You wouldn't necessarily always allow someone to pick that themselves. But it might be that someone actually has multiple cost centers, so maybe they do want to assign it to a particular one. Again, with all these fields, we can completely customize them. You don't have to have a cost center. You might want to put other things in there, like what business unit it relates to or something like that. You could have all sorts of different fields inside of here. And same goes into the next form as well. We can customize it however we like. We can then add in line items. So let's say, for example, we'll say on the 13th of November, I got a train to London. The category was transportation. The cost me £100. So that adds my line item in. Maybe whilst I was traveling, I got lunch, and that was food and beverage, and maybe it cost me, say, £10 in London to get my lunch as well. So there we go. So we've got £110 in total. I can then click on submit, and what that'll do is it'll send that to my line manager for approval. The cool thing about this that we've built out is that also that you'll get an email with all the, as a line manager, you get an email with all the line items in there. You can click on each individual line item to see it. Also, what I didn't mention in here in this dummy version, I skipped over, was you could also take a picture of the receipt. This is very important when it comes to expenses, is to get evidence of the receipts. So, pardon me. So you can then take a picture of the receipt. And again, that can be viewed by the line manager to make sure everything's in place, all the data, all the information we need is in the form. It's then approved by the line manager via an email or via a Teams message, and then it automatically sends all that information over then to the finance team, who are then going to pay that expense request. Again, they can then keep track of what's been paid and what's not been paid, and they can see all of the costs which are associated to a business unit, a department, or a cost center. So that's the expense request app. The next app is the Product Showcase app. Now, this can be used for a couple of different things, but essentially it's a way of showing information. Now, I've also, in previous example videos, shown almost like a storyboard type of choose your own ending type of information booklet that you can build with Power Apps. Because Power Apps is all built very much like PowerPoint in the fact that it's got almost like different slides, different pages that you put together. You can have almost like different areas. Like these buttons are just linking to different pages. An overview page, a features page, tech specs page, things like that. So when you click on them, it takes you to that page. But you could almost guide people as well using something like this. So you could guide them through to an end page depending on what buttons they've previously clicked. In this example, this is a product showcase of a Microsoft Surface Book, but it might be a particular product. This could be something that is in your shop or storefront on a tablet that people can sort of navigate through to see the latest features of a particular product. It could be something on a tablet that you're sending your sales guys out with so they can easily know what the latest features are when they're talking to your customers and things like that. And it's all centralized. So it could be that there's a bit of a video that when you click on it, it's going to play the video and show a bit of promotional demonstration. So this is, again, great for a salesperson if they wanted to have this on a tablet. And then press play and just let a sort of, say, 30-second video play to a potential customer. You've got the overview page, so a bit of information about what the actual device is, and you can skip through different pages of that. Features, so it might be that you jump in and then look at, okay, there's a natural writing experience built into this. tech specs, compare, or FAQs. So you could drill into actually different FAQs, what the question is. So what is a Surface Book made of? And the answer, the casing of Surface Book is blah, blah, blah. So you can kind of use this as a really useful tool. And because it's all based around one app, you only have to update one place. And then you know anybody that's using this app, whether it's a potential prospect or a customer, whether it's your salespeople, or even your technical people, they've all got the latest information about your product, and it's all presented in a really nice, easy format. And as I say, it's a single source of truth. It's all in one place. So that's the product showcase app. The next app is a bit ugly, if I'm totally honest. It's just a basic standard proof of concept, but it's for site inspections. So it's quite important. And in fact, actually, Valto have built out more advanced versions of this type of app for fire rescues, where they need to go out and they need to do fire inspections on certain buildings. So it could be that these are our jobs, like we were looking at the job estimator earlier on, or we could create a brand new one by rocking up to a building, clicking on the plus button across the top right corner, and then saying the title, so what this is going to be. So let's say this is going to be Office Block A, subtitle Zone 2, whatever it is. Some notes, we say everything looks good. Great, whatever. Obviously, you're putting more details than that. You again add more photos to it. So maybe if you're doing a bit of a fire inspection, or whatever the type of inspection it is going to be, this could also be used by facilities management type organizations, which are checking in on buildings and what's going on and doing those types of inspections. A lightweight version of this in the past before has been used again by facilities management to do things like security checks. Periodically, you might need to walk around a building or a warehouse that you're looking after, but also you want to prove that your staff are actually walking around that building. So you could use, for example, like this, use GPS for current location. So then when your security staff are going around, they maybe don't need the form at all. They can just use this use GPS location and have the ability to take photos if there was any issues that they found whilst they're doing their inspections. But you know from the GPS is really accurate. It's like within about a 1 meter square radius. So you would know, say for example, if you were a company that was looking after a very large warehouse or an airport or something like that, you would know that exactly where they'd gone to. They hadn't just sat at their desk; they'd actually gone out and done the inspection. They'd done their check. Similar things again for facilities management have been used in the past before for things like cleaners who are going and cleaning toilets and bathrooms and things like that, and they have to do that periodically. Again, using that GPS, you know exactly where in the sort of building that they've actually been to. Again, we can add any fields we want into here, or you don't have to have any fields at all, and you've got the ability to add in photos. And once you click on done, that'll then add your job into here, so you can see any details. Afterwards, you could edit it, inspect it, or send a notification to somebody to say that actually that job has now been completed. The next app we're going to look at is booking a room. And now essentially this could be used for all sorts of different things. Again, it could be used by kind of facilities management type organization. It could be used by anybody basically with a reception that is in charge of looking after meeting rooms. I've seen it expanded out in the past before for things like taking food bookings, ordering teas and coffees, things like that. Or also other organizations which are doing almost kind of like a rent a room type booking, where actually they wanted to afterwards count up how many bottles of water were used, how many biscuit packets were open, things like that, and then send an invoice out afterwards. So you could use this type of app as a basis to build on for the future. So it might be, say, for example, you're booking an existing meeting, so you've got a meeting in place, or you're booking without a meeting. Anytime booking with a meeting, and what that will do then is it'll automatically open up my Outlook calendar. And these are all of the things which are currently inside of my Outlook calendar that I want to book a meeting for. So I might want to book a meeting for my creative team meeting, and then I select on that, and it's going to show me any of the meeting rooms which are available currently for that. So at the moment, there are no rooms available. So unfortunately, I can't book that. So let's maybe look for a different day. or in fact, let's just change the time. So let's say, for example, let's look for 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. There we go. Now a couple of meeting rooms have come available. So now I could say I'm going to use a Valto tech room, book onto that, and that'll then book it. Now the way this works is it's actually using, it could use a couple of different data sources. We've ran it off SharePoint lists in the past. We've ran it on Dataverse tables, but you can also run it on Exchange mailboxes as well. So typically most meeting rooms would already have a sort of mailbox resource allocated to them in Exchange Online. And basically what this will do is it will make that booking and put it automatically into the calendar of that mailbox, so that other people can't then book it out afterwards. So that's the rooms bucket. This could be used for all sorts of stuff though. It could be used for anything booking related. I've seen it used for desk booking. So after kind of COVID and all the hybrid working stuff and people coming back to the offices, a lot of people found that actually they were hot desking. So people would want to come into the office on a Monday. Some people would want to come in Tuesday, whatever it was. But they wanted to be able to share a desk. And this is really good. And it's a cost saving as well. So you don't need to expand out your office or buy new desks. You could actually have hybrid working. So some people come in on one day and other people come in the next day. And you could use this as a booking system for that as well. So our next app, and in fact our final app of this video, is the interview tool. Now, again, this could be used for all sorts of different things. I've seen it adapted for like personal development reviews of internal employees and things like that. Or it could just be an interview tool, again, internally. Or if you're a recruitment agency, you could be using this to keep track of who you've actually spoken to, where they're up to in the overall interview and recruitment process and things like that. Or any just jobs that you've got open for particular customers and things like that. The default stock example, though, is assuming that you're using this as an internal recruiter. Not necessarily a recruiter, but you could be a head of department, for example. So the first thing it's going to do is say, select your department. So I'm going to say marketing. Then it's going to say, okay, well, you can have a look at open positions or closed positions. You can add in new positions. So it might, well, say, for example, I might be looking for an SEO specialist. The hiring manager will be me. Job description, be great at SEO. So I could then save that, and that will then create me a new job. So I can see here who I'm kind of then recruiting for. So I've got that as my job. Maybe I'll attach a job spec to this. You could add some more fields to this of like when you need the job filling by, things like that. Whether or not you're using external recruiters, and if you are, which recruiter you're using, and things like that. There's all sorts of ways you could expand out on this as well. Then once we've got this in place, we could add in a candidate. So then we could say, okay, maybe it's Bob Jones that is applied for this particular job, and here's his contact information. Again, we could add more fields to this if we wanted to. Maybe we're going to attach his CV. Maybe we'll put in a hyperlink to his LinkedIn page or any other kind of resources, GitHub, YouTube channels, anything else that he might have as a resource that he's provided us. Then we click on save, and we've then added him. We could then go into his particular profile and we could provide a bit of detail, say he's great, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We could maybe add another candidate. So we'll say this is Jess Smith. Phone number is blah, blah, fake numbers. Click on save, and then we've got Jess added. Now, inside of here, again, we can review the candidate. We can say Jess was great, and we could put a little thumbs up and say, yeah, we would like to hire her, and then click on submit. And then you could see a little ratings here to say that actually we're going ahead with Jess, but we're not going ahead with Bob, for example. Or you can add multiple layers to that. So it might be that multiple people are actually in the interview process and you need multiple kind of thumbs up. I've also seen this expanded out in the past before, where you could have add in kind of like what qualities that you're looking for and then rate people against them. So you could say, okay, well, for technical knowledge, Bob's got 10 out of 10, Jess has only got 8 out of 10. Whereas for personal communication skills, Jess has got 10 out of 10, but Bob's only got 5 out of 10, for example. So then you could weight those different things, and then it could produce a score as well. So that can mean you've got a lot more kind of legitimate way of saying, this is the reason why we're hiring Jess, because although that Bob might be slightly more technical in this area, in all these other kind of skills and things that we need, Jess actually comes out way more ahead on the points board. So those are essentially the examples of what you can use. Again, with Power Apps, you can customize these, add fields. I'm surprised how many questions I get when I do these types of videos for people saying, oh, could we add a field that does X, Y, Z? Yes, these are completely customizable. So anything you would want to do, any new fields you would want to add, any new workflows or automations or notifications or approval processes, they're completely customizable. So we can do those customizations for you, and we can build out these apps. And because Power Apps is so, it's referred to as low code, meaning that you don't need to know advanced coding. We could even potentially teach you yourself how to build out these applications further yourself. So if that all sounds good and you wanted to engage with us, again, you can drop us an email at hello@valto.co.uk, and we'll have a free, no obligation kind of quote meeting where we can discuss exactly what you want to do, and we can give you a good ballpark of what that would be. Then the next step is that we would typically have a workshop with you to review exactly the full details, go into full proposal mode, and then after that we'll give you a fixed priced quote, essentially, where it will be following exactly what we said, no additional costs to deploy an app and configure it exactly how you want it to be. As I say, if you've got any questions at all, please email us today, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.